Realme 6 Pro vs Realme X2, which is the best Realme phone under 20,000 rupees. We understand that you can't buy either of these phones right now due to the lockdown. But when services do resume eventually, which one of these smartphones will offer better value? The 6 Pro review is the newer model, and comes with 6GB of RAM and 64GB of storage at that price. The build quality is very good, and both phones look striking thanks to the unique, light-reflecting patterns on their backs. The Realme 6 Pro is a little larger and heavier than the X2, and has a slightly bigger display. Button placement is similar, and both phones also offer provisions for 2 nano SIM cards and a microSD card. The rear camera placement is virtually identical on the 6 Pro and the X2, however, it's a bit different for the selfie cameras, which we'll get into in the display section. We're leaning more towards the Realme X2, simply because it's slightly slimmer and easier to manage for everyday use. Realme 6 Pro vs Realme X2 performance and gaming. The Realme 6 Pro is powered by the newer Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G SoC, while the Realme X2 uses the Snapdragon 730G SoC. The Realme 6 Pro has a capacitive fingerprint sensor, unlike the X2 which has an in-display one. Looking at benchmark performance, the Snapdragon 720G powered Realme 6 Pro actually managed better scores in some tests compared to the Realme X2. Realme 6 Pro vs Realme X2 display and speakers. One of the biggest differences between these two phones is with their display panels. The Realme X2 uses an AMOLED panel, which allows it to achieve rich colors and deep black levels. This has also allowed Realme to use an in-display fingerprint sensor for authentication. The Realme 6 Pro on the other hand uses an IPS LCD panel, which also has good viewing angles and colors, but with slightly less saturation. Realme has had to go with a side-mounted capacitive fingerprint sensor in the power button, since an in-display one won't work with such a panel. The X2, being a slightly older model, has a more traditional notch at the top of the display, while the 6 Pro gets a more premium-looking dual-hole punch cutout for its two selfie cameras. Audio quality is very similar across both phones and it's really hard to pick a single winner. The Realme 6 Pro has a slightly larger 4,300 mAh, compared to the 4,000 mAh one in the Realme X2. To be fair, when we tested the X2, it was running ColorOS 6 based on Android 9, while the 6 Pro was running on Realme UI based on Android 10. With actual usage, both phones will easily last for a day and a half before needing a charge, which is a good thing. The Realme X2 and the 6 Pro both have the same 64-megapixel Samsung GW1 sensor for the primary camera, plus an 8-megapixel wide-angle camera and a 2-megapixel macro camera. The fourth camera on each phone is a bit different. The selfie cameras are also a bit different. The X2 uses a 32-megapixel sensor, while the 6 Pro has two selfie cameras, a 16-megapixel primary sensor and an 8-megapixel sensor with a wide-angle lens. Both phones have the exact same camera app, with the same shooting modes and features. Under good light, the Realme 6 Pro and the X2's primary cameras capture nearly identical images. The color tone is a bit warmer on the Realme X2, while the 6 Pro has a more neutral tone, but both capture very good details and colors. The wide-angle cameras are useful and both phones perform virtually identically here. Close-ups look good, with pleasing depth of field, good details, and rich colors. When it comes to extreme close-ups, we found the 6 Pro's macro camera to do a much better job than the macro camera in the X2. The Realme 6 Pro also has a telephoto camera, and a 2x optical zoom. It captures much better details than the X2's digital zoom. The Realme 6 Pro lets you zoom in up to 20x, which still results in decent-looking shots under good light. In low light, both phones struggle to lock focus and details aren't very good. Night mode helps brighten the image, and here, we found the 6 Pro to produce slightly better colors. The wide-angle cameras of both phones fail to deliver pleasing results in low light, but with night mode, both do improve slightly. We found that both phones do a good job with selfies. With portrait mode for selfies, both phones do a good job detecting edges and blurring out the right background. The Realme X2 and the 6 Pro are both capable of 4K video recording. Image quality is decent, although colors do look a little overstated. You can zoom in but you can't switch to the wide-angle camera while recording. We recommend using the wide-angle cameras only if you need a wider perspective, as it only records at 1080p and the quality is not very good on either phone. Meanwhile, the Realme X2 was recently updated to Android 10, so both phones are now equal when it comes to software. Realme UI adds a cleaner look and feel to ColorOS and is similar to stock Android. You still get all the customizations and features of ColorOS, such as game space for optimizing the performance of games, a system-wide dark mode, screen recording, etc. However, with the introduction of the Realme 6 Pro, we think it makes good sense to pick this one instead. It has a slightly bigger battery, a more premium look, more useful secondary cameras for the rear and front and a more modern processor. Subscribe to the channel.